All right. I'm super excited about this topic. Welcome, everybody. We give everyone a few seconds to join us. We are talking all about hormones happy hour. Jen, how are you feeling today?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm super excited to talk about holiday strategies because I've had this topic come up so often in clinic, and I'm like, everybody needs this. Like, we all need to talk about ways to survive together.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is something that comes up very often, especially during this time where the holidays are around the corner and people's stress levels are up. So I think it's very timely. So we have a lot to talk about. So I'm excited to get to it.
Yeah.
All right. So we know that this month is Diabetes Awareness Month, right? And if you're a woman over 40, I think it's really important to understand how hormones and affect everything that we do, everything in our bodies, how we relate with people, how we show up for at work. But before we even get started, I guess we forgot to introduce ourselves. So if you're not familiar with who we are, you just happen to show up here. My name is Ade Akindepe. I'm a family nurse practitioner. I founded Rejuvenate Health and Wellness 3 years ago, and the practice really morphed into taking care of women because I started to see the needs in this particular women who are navigating midlife. And I thought, I think we really need to help these women out so that they're not, burned out, gaining weight and just not feeling like themselves. And it's been going well. And now we have Jennifer. Jennifer, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Jennifer Blackwell. I am a physician assistant, and I started my PA career in the Army, transitioned into psych, and I was really in love with psych, but I kept seeing these themes of metabolic health pop up in all of my patients, from schizophrenics to uncomplicated ADHD. And then lots of women in their 40s and 50s and 60s coming in. I've never had any issues, and now I can't sleep, and I'm anxious. And do you think I have ADHD? And I'm like, I don't think so. And so then I went down my own rabbit holes on metabolic health and menopausal health, and I was ready for a change, and I happened to find you, and I just love what you're doing, and you were looking for help, and I was like, oh gosh, I am your gal.
I'm so happy that you decided to join us because it was very timely. And, I was just like,
Hmm.
who is this woman? She really knows a whole lot about this stuff. But, your own story and you actually walking that walk is definitely what's helping our
Hmm.
patients for sure. So we are super
Yeah.
happy to have you. So, as you says, we start to notice all these changes, and that sparked my own journey too when I started noticing the things that I used to respond to don't, work anymore, weight gain, sleep issues, cravings, bloating, and the list goes on. So, I'm hoping
Hmm.
that this conversation we're going to continue to have conversations like this. So, what let's talk about real strategy, right? So, this is hormone happy hour, and we know that the holidays are around the corner. So, Jen, what are some things that you have? I'm sure you've been having this conversation with patients in clinic. What are some things that you are noticing and you want us to address today?
I think one of the biggest things everyone's worried about is like, everyone seems to be in this all or nothing mindset where it's either like, well, I'm not going to start making changes for my health because like we're heading into the holidays and I don't want to deprive myself, or people who are like, well, I'm not going to eat that cake, and I'm not going to go to that party. I had a patient today who told me she, like, every year she always goes to Simon and Seafort's for like an early Thanksgiving dinner, but like she didn't want to because like she didn't want to break her fast early. Like normally she goes at like 11, like for like a really early lunch. And I had to have the conversation that like the wonderful thing about fasting, about flexing our carbohydrates, about watching your, like, trying to get in tune with your body, is that like you can make it whatever you want and need it to be. Like it doesn't have to be all or nothing. We can fit these strategies into our modern world. And there's ways that we're balancing these like evolutionary principles of health against the modern things that are destroying our health.
That's right. I absolutely agree. And then, moving into the holiday period, like you talked about, it's like, oh, people are dreading all the foods that we're going to be surrounded by. But I think it's important that women also understand, if you know your body and if you know your habits, then you kind of know how to navigate those situations and approaching each scenario as you can't be 100% all the time. You're not going to have
Mm-hmm.
healthy foods around you all the time, but you can still live life. You can still feel good. You can still enjoy family. So, what are some rules, or I don't like to use the word rule.
Right. I
It
say
just seems
guardrails.
very restrictive.
I like guardrails.
Guardrails
I
sounds good.
I imagine myself like ping ponging back and forth between my guardrails as I like navigate life. And so I think uh, Chantel and I have talked a lot about this in clinic. Is like the holidays are it's a day, it's a couple days, it's a holiday party, and then a week later it's another family party, but it's not like every day.
It's not all the time. This is just
It's
once in a
not,
while.
it's
Yeah.
right, like it's these once in a whiles are more frequent during the holiday season. But the important thing is, like you said, women, we have this natural intuition that gets a bit like trained out of us with modern life and modern expectations, but trying to rediscover that like intuitive eating behavior. And certainly the holidays isn't necessarily the time to like discover all of that, but trusting yourself and knowing yourself. We all, I love saying, we all have to live within the confines of our personality. And so like I know I can't be trusted with too many dopamine things. So
Mm,
like
same here.
if I have, yeah,
Can't have too many
like if I
options
have
around.
one cookie, like two cookies will probably be really good. And then like, oh, two cookies was great, I should just eat all of them so I never have any cookies in the house anymore. And that's not okay. So knowing that about yourself and finding ways to find limits, but still have the cookie. Like even if you're battling your diabetes, you're trying to lose the weight and do all these things, like life is okay to happen. If you ate cookies for years and that's how you became diabetic, having a cookie one day is not going to be the thing that determines the rest of your health in your life.
Absolutely. Trying that 80%, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
there's candy
Yeah.
everywhere post Halloween, there's candy everywhere.
Oh my
But
God.
I think, if you're, like you said, if you know yourself, and I always say, know thyself, if you know what your habits are, if you know all of those, the things that make you overdo it, um, during the holiday season, you just have to be realistic with yourself that, you're probably not going to be your best self, but also be aware of what food does to your body. You don't want to be miserable as well. If you know that something is really going to spike your blood sugar, maybe having a goal instead of, grabbing the larger plate, maybe going for a smaller plate, a smaller portion of that thing so that it doesn't spike your blood sugar, so it doesn't make you feel bad. Like for myself, I know that there are some foods, the minute I put it in my mouth, I can tell my stomach starts to actually start to hurt before it even gets where it needs to get to. So your body's very smart and it's always giving you signals that, you might not want to do this. So it's being aware, I think, not being mindless and just reaching
Mm-hmm.
for everything, stopping, chewing slowly, allowing yourself to digest. Digestion starts when you start to smell and you start to taste and chew and swallow. So taking your time, sitting down and being aware, but can I think those are strategies that you can kind of that cues you that, okay, I'm full. I don't need to eat everything that's available, even though there's food everywhere around us, right?
I like the small plate idea, and a strategy last year when I was really like just starting a big transformation of my own, I made sure, so I grabbed a smaller plate. My first plate, because, especially Thanksgiving is my favorite. I love Thanksgiving. And so my first plate was turkey and like salad. It was like the green things. Um, and then like let that settle, like give yourself a few minutes, and then go back for the mac and cheese and the sweet potato. I don't like sweet potatoes with marshmallows, but I love them with like this brown sugar pecan like
Oh,
crumble
that sounds
thing. And
delicious.
oh, it's so great. So then I go back for that. And then I'll go back for like the roll with the cinnamon butter and like, so first plate, the healthy stuff. Like the first plate, nourish your body. Don't fill it up. Don't take a ton and then you fill yourself on the healthy food. And then you're still going to go and fill yourself on the unhealthy food. So don't do that. Don't make yourself sick, but get a small plate that has a reasonable amount of food that nourishes your body.
Love
Give it a
that.
moment. Get another small plate of the things that are super tasty and special. And then
Yes,
give it some time before you go for the dessert.
absolutely. And, around this time of year is where we have all of those comfort foods, right? Everything is
Mm-hmm.
available. So, like just like you said, smaller portions, looking at the foods that will nourish your body. And then if you're very familiar with your body and you know that you are battling high blood sugar, or maybe you just know that your blood sugars or your insulin levels tend to be elevated, or you've been told you might have insulin resistance, one of the things that you can do is movement, just walking after meals. This is the best tool you can use to uh, combat that. And don't stop working out just because it's the holidays doesn't mean that your metabolism slows down. I think I posted something the other day that your metabolism is not on vacation or doesn't hibernate. You need to keep moving. Movement doesn't stop because it's the holidays or because it's cold outside. We
Yep.
have to keep our bodies moving. Our bodies are not made to just be, in standstill and sedentary. Once you do that, you start to move. You allow your organs to really work better. You have more mental clarity. You don't have that funk afterwards. And I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about, that funk after
Yeah.
overeating all those things that are not healthy for your body. I know I feel it. My gut, like everything gets sluggish. It's constipation and bloating. And then you feel really bad afterwards. And then you have the mood issues and irritability that comes with it. It's all connected. So that's one thing. What other strategies do you think, Jen?
I love the movement after eating. And that's been something that I struggled with. We moved to Alaska in 2023. And like, I see all these people outside, like walking their
I
dogs, and
know.
it's like dark and there's snow on the ground. And I'm like, okay, like I
They
want to
find a
be
way.
them. I want to be them. So I just have to do it. Like, and then when I do it, like when I get out there, as long as I have the right gear on, I feel great.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. As
So
long as you have the right gear. I mean, I got these ice bugs. I think that's what they call them.
yeah,
If
I
you know
I
what
have like
bikes
the
are.
one like the cheapo like rubber ones from Costco that you just put over your sneaks, and I've been even running in them a few times, and it's good.
Yeah,
They
it's
work.
good. And once you're warm and your body doesn't feel like it's, um, just dying from the cold,
Right.
everything else is fine. Then you
Yeah.
can just
Yeah.
focus and it's great getting out there
But
in the cold.
it's like a mindset thing where it's
It
like,
is.
I mean, it's 6:30 and it's like pitch dark out there and there's snow, and
That's
so
the
you have to just
struggle.
right, you have to change your mind. I've been very blessed to be like surrounded by lots of really active women since I got here. I met like a really great community through our school, and like I've just kind of learned from them how to stay active. Actually, the thing about like the 10-minute walking after eating, I read a study where instead of walking, they just had people do 10 squats, like air squats, and it produced a similar reduction in blood sugar. So if you can't go out for a walk, maybe you get your whole family up off the couch and everyone does 10 squats after they
Oh, look
eat.
at
Try
that.
not
I
to
love
throw
that
up.
challenge. I love that
Yeah.
challenge. Get up and do some squats after having the turkey, after
Hmm.
having dessert. No, it's great. I mean, I'm not surprised by that. You know, it's you're
You're
keeping your muscles working.
activating calves and
Yes.
quads and like big muscle groups. There was even, I didn't read this study, but I heard Ben Azidi in an interview. He talked about just calf raises. Like
Mm,
after you eat, doing like 10 or 20 calf raises because your calf muscles are really vascular. Like your calf muscles are responsible for pumping blood back up to your heart from a standing
yeah.
position. And so they use a lot of glucose. And so even just doing 10 calf raises, which may be, if you're feeling like a little embarrassed about it at your holiday party, you can just kind of stand there and do some calf raises. It'll just look like you're
I
fidgeting.
love that. I love that. And dance parties, sometimes it doesn't have to be, a direct exercise that, what we call exercise, but just movement, dancing, putting on some music, having a great time, but just not sitting, on the couch, just, I mean, of course, relax, but finding the time during the day, throughout the day to move will definitely help, along with
Yes.
making sure that you are sleeping as well, too. If you're going to have, something that's going to be higher in sugar, this is something that you definitely want to do. So
For people who are like comfortable with fasting and familiar with fasting, we have some patients that I'm coaching through, and I've been talking a lot about um, the importance of balancing fasting and feasting, because I've had a couple of patients come to clinic who they're like, well, fasting doesn't work for me. And they
mm.
describe fasting. And really, what they're doing is they're doing calorie restriction and also fasting. So
Ah,
when they break their fast, they're breaking their fast with like some cheese and nuts, like maybe 200, 300 calories. And then a couple hours later, they're having like another 300 calorie meal. I had one of our patients write down what she was eating, and she was getting like 900 calories in a day. And I'm like,
oh
no,
my
no, no.
gosh.
I love fasting, but like a meal is minimum 500, 600 calories with 30 grams of protein. And if you're not hungry enough to eat a meal, continue fasting. like
Yeah,
and so like really nourishing your body. And so for people who are comfortable doing that, fasting leading into a big feast, like a planned holiday feast, can be a great strategy. If you're the type of
absolutely.
person who tends to overeat after a long fast, I suggest like having, you know, 3 or 4 eggs and like some fruit in the morning before a holiday meal. But like some people who are used to fasting and they're comfortable with fasting, like doing a 24 or an 18-hour fast leading into a holiday meal. And even if you think from an evolutionary perspective, we would fast and then we would get up and go on a hunt or go forage. So that's like zone 2 exercise in the fasted state. Get up and do a
Absolutely.
little turkey trot, or do a little workout that morning, and then go do your holiday, and your metabolism is going to be primed and ready to handle the sugar that you're going to put in it with the typical holiday meal. Even if you don't have
Absolutely.
dessert, it's going to be more sugary than usual.
And of course, reaching for those foods that are going to, keep your blood sugar stable. If you're going to decide to do that fast, making sure that you, like you said, if you don't have those nutrients in there, you're essentially starving yourself, raising your blood sugars
Yes.
even more because your body's just so stressed and it's trying to keep you alive. So, managing stress, making sure that you're eating, if you are fasting, eating
Mm-hmm.
nourishing foods during that fasting
Nourish
period
your
as well.
body. Have a meal. No
Please.
snacking. Have a meal.
Okay, let's talk about alcohol. What are your thoughts about alcohol?
Oh
It's
gosh.
holiday season.
I have a tough relationship with alcohol because I do really enjoy a good cocktail, a good old fashioned. There's like nothing better. Or like a solid, craft IPA. Except in the last like 2 or 3 years, um, I can't sleep. Like I have become, if I'm
Same.
gonna have a drink, it has to happen at like 2 in the afternoon. So like, if we're out like camping or whatever, that's fine. Maybe for a holiday, like that'll be fine. But if I have a drink really after like 3 o'clock, I can't sleep. The next morning, I feel irritable. When I was testing out the CGMs for clinic for our current, holiday diabetes awareness promotion we're doing, I was testing out the CGMs and I realized, and I had my husband test one too, and both of us the next day, our blood sugar was like super like low in like a not good way.
Like, how
And
low are
that's
we
what
talking?
alcohol,
Low, low?
like in like overnight, it was like 65 to 75.
Oh my
And
gosh.
then, yeah, and then when I would eat, it would get super high. Even if I didn't eat any, like my blood sugar was so reactive after
Oh,
having alcohol the night before.
I can imagine. Yeah. And
Right.
that just puts
But
that's what's waking us up in the middle of the night, especially when your blood sugars
one
rise like or drops like that.
Right. Yeah. Like people get the middle of the night wake ups are either cortisol spikes, or which is causing blood sugar, or it's a blood sugar drop because whatever you're eating or drinking is destabilizing your blood sugar. So I have a mixed relationship with alcohol, but I can totally appreciate having wanting to have a cocktail. And so knowing those things about myself, also knowing that I tend, I don't do well with dopamine things. So if I have one drink and I'm feeling kind of good, like, oh, I'll have a second. And then like I could just keep drinking all night long, because like every drink is going to make me feel so much better,
Right.
but that's not the case. So, so keeping that, bringing awareness to that has really helped me to be mindful of like, I don't want to feel like crap. And so for me, I do not have a drink after 4 o'clock,
Yeah.
period, because I
Yeah.
can't sleep and
Because
my
you know
sleep is
yourself, you know
sacred.
what's going to make you, what's going to tip you. And like I
Hmm.
said earlier, just certain foods, even just looking at certain foods, it's like my body already knows. It's like, oh,
Oh,
I know
yeah.
how I'm going to feel if I have that. I'm just not going to indulge. Or if I
Yeah.
am, I know that okay, maybe I'm not going to go to work the next day. Maybe it's going to take me a couple of days, but I'm going to be all right. But you have to really know how is this going to impact you as well. But
Hmm.
if you are severely insulin resistant and you know this, of course you know what that does, right? It's just going to impact everything else. So but
Well,
alcohol is, yeah, go ahead.
your liver prioritizes metabolizing alcohol.
That's correct.
Alcohol is a toxin, it's poisonous. That's how it gets the effects. That's how we relax, because the toxin builds up in our body and it gets into our brain. And so, but your body doesn't want toxins. And
No,
so
it does
your
not.
liver will prioritize metabolizing alcohol. So your blood sugar is going to stay high while the alcohol is in your system, and then your pancreas is shooting out insulin to try and deal with the sugar that your liver is refusing to deal with. So then once the alcohol is gone, then the insulin starts working, and that's why you have that low blood sugar. But also,
Absolutely.
you are not burning any fat. You are not tapping into those fat stores when your insulin's high and your liver is prioritizing alcohol. So understand, if you are battling diabetes, prediabetes, insulin resistance, if your goals are weight loss, you're shutting down that process for anywhere from 24 to 72 hours when you have a drink. And some people are really sensitive and it's just one drink and it shuts that process down. And so I'm not saying do it or don't do it. I'm saying know what you're doing, make those choices, own those choices, be okay with them, and let's move on.
Absolutely. And then the other thing too is if you are on GLPs like Wegovy, Ozempic, Mounjaro, I think this needs to be talked about because it's even worse because your gut is also very slowed down. It's already sluggish. And then you're drinking alcohol on top of that. In fact, we've had patients that said, I gained weight while I'm on this medication. We'll go through everything, but sometimes they forget that that alcohol can be the one that's driving everything and not helping you lose weight. So You definitely have to be very careful. We just talked about how the liver prioritizes, right? So you don't want that sitting in your system and not going where it's supposed to. So if you drink and you're on a GLP for weight loss or even for diabetes, that's something you definitely want to cut back on, to just not impair your system and just cause issues down the line for sure.
When I was on a GLP-1 agonist, the alcohol would sit in my system and like turn the food, and I
Oh,
would get sick. I would
of
get sick. It was
course.
terrible. So, and yeah, there's actually new research that is happening. They're starting to use GLP-1 agonists to help people with like alcohol addiction,
Yeah, they're finding
which
that
is
it's
really
helping with that
interesting.
too, which is amazing. I mean, there's so
Yeah.
many anecdotal things that I am seeing with people, and I'm just like, we're gonna find out more in the future
Yeah.
about what these things do. Okay, so moving on, let's talk about this whole FDA thing that happened a couple of days ago, which I think is amazing. So if you haven't already heard, the
Mhm.
FDA finally removed the black box warning from estrogen therapy, and I've been celebrating. It's like, for the longest time, and I'm hoping that this just means a lot more providers are going to start prescribing estrogen for women that really need it. And, they're going to get trained if they don't understand it because there's just not enough providers who are trained, primary care providers who can, hey, you're having frequent UTIs. I wonder if you might be having hormonal decline and maybe we need to put, everyone should be more comfortable prescribing this. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. I totally agree. I was like, oh my gosh, I've been so hopeful. I've been following all the petitions with the FDA, and I'm like, this is huge, because oral estradiol is something that like insurances will cover. Now the next big hurdle is getting testosterone for women covered,
Oh
but one
man,
thing at a time.
one day,
One thing
one
at a
day.
time. Right, right. It's huge that like the FDA has finally caught up with the actual research and risks around estradiol. I had a woman who, kudos to her primary care, she at least started her on something. She started her on a patch, um, but there was no contraindication. There was no actual
Hmm.
contraindication to starting oral estradiol. But she started her on a patch out of an abundance of caution because of the FDA warning. And her estrogen levels were not detectable. Some
Oh my
women just
God.
can't absorb the topical, and
How long
hopefully
had she
now
been on the
providers.
estradiol patch?
Oh my God, like a year.
She
Yeah,
had been
and
on the
she's like,
patch
"I'm
for a
just not
year.
getting better." She's like, "I'm just not getting better." I think she came to us for weight loss, and I was like, "Well, like let's just, we always check women's hormones when they come to us." And I was like, "Hey, I know that you want me to help you with weight loss, but I don't think you need a GLP. Like I think we just need to like get your menopause hormones under
Oh my
control, and the
gosh.
weight's just going to fall
She's gonna
off."
love you forever because she's gonna start feeling better.
Right. And little things like that, that the FDA black box warning just scares people away because they don't know the studies.
They don't know the studies, they don't feel comfortable. Even, you imagine going into the EHR medical record system and you're trying to order and the black box warning comes up.
Right, and it pops up and
You
it
don't want
makes
to
you
order
like a
it.
little nervous.
Yeah,
Even
it's
I
like, no, I
know
have
the
menopause
things, and
cancer.
when I have the pharmacy pop up, I'm like, "Ooh, do I want to say that like
Yeah.
I know?"
And then cancer of all things, that's not something you
Yeah.
wanna put yourself into and be liable for, so most providers hesitate, even if they think it might be good, it's, they don't wanna have to go through that because hormone therapy is very, I guess it's really specialized in a way because you do need to understand what you're doing. It's very, there's not a one size fits all for everybody. It looks different.
Right.
And these symptoms, perimenopausal symptoms, can look different for everybody. So it can be so frustrating when a woman is coming to a provider and saying, I have these symptoms, and they're getting prescriptions after prescriptions with more side effects, but they're not getting better. And then they come
Yeah.
to us and then we fix them.
It's usually like an easier fix, and I feel so bad that they went so long.
Yeah, I know. I mean, talk about one lady that came to us. Unfortunately, she was already diabetic. Speaking of diabetes, she was already with an A1C of 12. She had severe vaginal dryness, urinary tract infections. She was starting to get scars from the itching. And
Oh,
yeah, and she just, beautiful woman. I'm like, you have, beautiful hair and makeup and all these things she's done on the outside to make herself feel good, but she was awful inside. And we did her labs, her A1C was 12. She had no idea that she was already diabetic. No, zero estrogen, started her and all of that, and all her symptoms, a little bit of vaginal, estrogen, um, upped everything else, put her on testosterone, started her on a GLP, and she's doing a lot better now. It's just imagine how long this must have been going on, where she did
right. And
not.
it's because people were afraid because of the WHI study to even consider it.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're listening out there, you're a woman, perimenopause, menopause, you're over the age of 40 or even sometimes even younger nowadays. Some women go into early, they start to have all these hormonal decline symptoms earlier. Definitely get someone to listen to you and just kind of walk you through your symptoms so you can get checked. So
That could be your Christmas present to yourself.
absolutely. Not gonna go into
Is
2026 with all
go
of this
and
stuff.
yeah, start taking care of your hormones.
Absolutely.
Set that appointment up now.
Absolutely. All right. I mean, the last segment, I really want us to talk about this Black Friday offer. And the reason why
Oh
we
yeah.
put this together is because we see this all the time, right? And you had mentioned in a soon to be published podcast episode where we talked about as women start to get older, we kind of almost naturally start to become more insulin resistant, which is kind of really
Hmm.
bad, right? And we see that all the time. You check the A1C, A1C is sort of borderline, or the blood sugar is kind of like just on the cusp, but it's still within the normal range, but we can already tell that something is happening. What are your thoughts about this offer and why is it so important for us to really get this out there?
I was so excited when you came out with this offer. So, metabolic health is totally my passion. And so, as I'm trying to like grow in the social media space, that was the first place that like my natural rants go. And when you were like, hey, let's do this, I was like, oh my God, this is so great. Because I feel like awareness is the most important thing. That's usually the first step with all of our patients who aren't necessarily like coming in for a promotion offer, but they come to us with these things. Usually, they come to us for menopause or for weight loss, and we're like, "Hey, this insulin resistance is happening," and so our package, we're doing like the CGM and running metabolic labs, and then we have like a little handout for how like things I want you to track while you're doing your CGM, and then we'll sit down and review everything and identify little changes and tweaks that you can make to get yourself on the track to metabolic health. Because when estrogen drops, we naturally become insulin resistant. And testosterone, actually, like when we get like perimenopausal patients on testosterone, as you know, muscle starts to build and metabolic rate increases, insulin sensitivity can return. But there's behavioral things that we can do, and the first thing is awareness. Like I grew up understanding that like oatmeal was a much healthier option than cereal. Like having oatmeal for breakfast is heart healthy. The first time I wore a CGM, my blood sugar went through the roof with oatmeal.
Mm,
And I
mm,
didn't
mm, mm.
put any like sugar in it or anything. I put fruit, I guess I put a little bit of maple syrup, but not like a preposterous amount. And my blood sugar went through the roof with oatmeal. I'm not a person who can tolerate oatmeal. Other people can. And
Just
those are things
imagine
that,
that though, what you just
right,
said, and someone is out there eating oatmeal because I want to be healthy, and they're exercising 5 days a week, and they're eating oatmeal because it's healthy for them.
right. But maybe their body doesn't
Maybe
like
their body,
oatmeal.
that's right.
And so I think that is like the coolest thing that CGMs can really bring awareness to. CGM, continuous glucose monitor, for those who don't know, it's like a little sticky on your arm that gives us your blood sugar. It's not perfect. It's usually a little off from like a finger stick, but it's close enough that we can
Yeah.
identify what triggers a spike, how fat high it goes, and all of that.
Yeah. I'm so excited about it. And we already have a
Mm-hmm.
few women already for this offer, just to tell you how important. And I think women really want that insight to know what their body is doing as they get older. What can they do to prevent disease, right? So that they
Mm-hmm.
can thrive. So, what all is in this offer? If you're listening to this, we're calling this the Metabolic Jumpstart Package. And it really, I feel like this is how you can start 2026 already with the knowledge, with the awareness, and then whatever that data tells you, it's customized to you so that you can start somewhere. We have the body composition scan, so you already know not what just your weight is, but what is what is your weight made of? How much fat do you have on you? How much belly fat? We know that belly fat is the dangerous fat that puts you at risk for insulin resistance, right? And then you have data. So you get a bonus of the continuous glucose monitor that's added in there. So you get to walk away with it and track your own data and see how food, stress, sleep, your boss stresses you out and get data on what happens when you are just doing normal things, right? And then you get to sit down with us and we get to figure out a plan for you. It can't get better than that. And for just $2.99, I mean that's you can't beat that. So if you haven't grabbed your spot, I think this is an opportunity to get an opportunity to work with our team over the holidays and into the new year. So if you want to be one of those 15, well, actually, we don't even have 15. We have less than 15 spots now because we people already grabbed the spots, right?
We were filling them up this week. Yeah.
So if you are interested, please comment sugar in the comments and our team will claim your spot for you. Okay, once we hit that 15, we're done for this time being. So I don't see anyone in the chat with questions. Did you have anything else? Any last words during this live session?
Oh gosh, I don't know that we talked enough about sleep and prioritizing sleep. Like we talked about it in the context of
How could we
alcohol,
not?
but
Oh yeah, we haven't. Yeah.
right, right. So talking about CGM, I definitely noticed. I've naturally, as I've worked on body awareness, realized that if I get a poor night's sleep, I am starving. When I
Me
am
too.
doing some, I cannot fast if I've had a poor night's sleep. I am starving. I feel irritable. I feel unwell. As opposed to with a poor night's sleep, whether I'm doing a therapeutic fast or just like a natural baseline, 14-hour fast, I feel fine. I feel great. If I don't sleep, I cannot. And I've realized my blood sugar is higher than normal. So normally my blood sugar hangs out like in the high 70s or 80s. If I don't sleep, which means that my cortisol has been elevated since God knows when, whenever I woke up, and cortisol tells the body, hey, we're being attacked by a tiger, give us sugar so we can run away. My sugars are like up in the 90s or even the low 100s all day, even if I don't eat. And so, really prioritizing sleep and prioritizing nourishing your body. I can't emphasize that enough. I know we talked a little bit about it, but like get
Yes.
yourself some healthy meals.
I definitely feel the same way. Even if it's just off by an hour, I can tell the difference. I'm that so much in tune
Oh,
with my
yeah.
body now that I know that if I don't get that amount of sleep, or even if I sleep and it's not restful sleep, I feel the difference. I do like to get up early in the morning to get some exercise in. So if I get up early and I didn't go to sleep early, it just impacts everything else. And then your body starts to crave more sugary foods just so it can keep its energy up. So
Yep.
that's the cycle. So during this holiday season, you definitely need to make sure that you're sleeping and not sacrificing it because it's the holidays.
Yep.
Unfortunately, that's something that happens too. We stay up late, we're hanging
Oh,
out. So yeah, I absolutely agree.
Yeah, and give yourselves some grace. If you have a bad day, have a bad
The
day.
quote unquote bad
If it was
day.
a right, if it was like a bad day in terms of like food and taking care of your body, but like your soul feels good because you ate lots of good food and you spent time with good people, let that be okay. And acknowledge that you slept like crap and you're feeling irritable and grumpy. Get yourself some healthy food. Maybe do a little fast to clear out all that extra sugar if you have it in you, and then, move on. It'll be
That's
okay.
it.
Sometimes we need to feed
Like
our
I always
souls.
say, that 80% is what counts. If you've been doing really well and that's that 80%, the remaining 20% of the time when you don't do it, it's the consistency that matters. So
Yep.
you didn't fall off the wagon during the Thanksgiving period or Christmas. You had a good time, you spent time with family, you enjoyed that cookie. Enjoy it. Enjoy that cookie.
Right. Nourish your soul.
Just make sure that the other times you are nourishing your body as well. Make sure that you're hydrating, take it easy on the alcohol, right? Make sure that you're not overdoing it. We talked about what happens when you do take alcohol and you're on medications or you're on a journey to improve your insulin sensitivity. So, all of those things matter. Everything we do in our lifestyle to try to support ourselves during this time to keep our hormones balanced. All right. I think that's about it. Again, if you are interested in our Jumpstart Comment Sugar, it's an opportunity for you to start off or finish off and start off a new year already being aware, already ready to start to optimize your own health. All right, Jen. Take
All
care, everybody.
right.
Bye bye. Thank you
Have
for
a good night,
watching.
everyone.